Loudoun Gateway is famous for being DC's least used metro station. So you might be asking, isn't the obvious solution to make Loudoun Gateway a good station just to build tons of transit-oriented development around the station? Well, not so fast, buckaroo. Becoming an urban area like Arlington, Reston, even Innovation Center is not exactly on the table or feasible for Loudoun Gateway. I do have a plan to make Loudoun Gateway a useful station, but first let's talk about why it won't be a residential or commercial hub anytime soon. Reason number 1 is zoning. In 2012, the metro extension from Wheelie-Reston East to Ashburn was approved. In the same year, a Loudoun County zoning restriction was put into effect around Dulles International Airport. This restriction prohibits housing in areas with high levels of airplane noise. Unfortunately, the station sits right in the crosshairs of one of the loud flight paths, so this rule would have to be repealed or amended for any housing to get built in the station's vicinity. Currently, the areas around the station are zoned for general industry and office parks, which means tons of data centers, as we're in Loudoun County, Virginia, the world's capital of data centers. Reason number 2, air quality. The station is located in the middle of 6 lanes of high-speed traffic, which would be a health hazard if anybody lived next to it. Research from the EPA states that living near highways leads to adverse health effects, such as reduced lung function, asthma, cardiovascular disease, and even premature death. These health issues are in turn caused by a combination of ultrafine particles, black carbon, nitrogen oxides, and carbon monoxide coming from the vehicles on the highway. So building housing right next to the highway would be ethically questionable at best. Of course, if the housing was built further back from the highway, then this could be mitigated, but then you wouldn't have the transit-oriented development be as close to the transit, which kinda defeats the whole point. Reason number 3. Much of the space around the station that could be used for development is taken up by the highway. Currently, the only side of the station that can be developed without getting rid of or massively changing the highway is the north side of the station. The south is pretty much undevelopable in its current state. Just look at how much of the area around the station can't be developed compared to even East Falls Church, another freeway median station. Putting a metro station in freeway medians is already hotly debated, but putting one at the middle of an interchange is basically asking for low development opportunities. So, to sum it up, Loudoun Gateway won't become a transit-oriented development hub anytime soon because it's zoned for commercial development, housing near highways is questionable at best, and there's very little room to build anything near the station due to the Dulles Greenway Toll Road interchange with State Route 606. So if we can't build housing and commercial around Loudoun Gateway Station, what should we do? Well, local leaders are thinking about it. In a Washington Post article, Executive Director for Economic Development in Loudoun County, Mr. Buddy Reiser, this guy, stated that he's disappointed that progress on development at Loudoun Gateway has been slowed by both the pandemic and a hard-hit commercial market. However, he's now taking a longer-term view, stating that he hopes an entertainment or maybe a sports venue could be part of a plan to make the station more appealing. One could say he's trying to give Loudoun Gateway some rizz. Get it? Buddy Reiser, could be spelled Rizzer if you wanted to. I think I'm too old to be making these jokes. Jokes aside, he's not wrong. If Loudoun Gateway wants to be anything but strictly a park-and-ride for DC-bound commuters, something has to entice people to this station. It was built with around 2,000 parking spots, but only about 10% of those were used on an average weekday in 2024. To illustrate the low demand for parking, just look, they kind of just left this stuff spread out. We're on level 5 out of 6, the 6th level is up there, but there's so little demand that they don't even care that this is all spread out. Metro stations are usually like tidy and clean and not full of shenanigans, but they know that there's just not going to be enough people here to meet the demand. So what if there was a way to fill the rest of all of those parking spots? Well, less than 3 miles away from Loudoun Gateway is one of the region's biggest destinations, Dulles International Airport. It is a massive airport with flights scheduled to every inhabited continent except Oceania. It is also the 26th biggest airport in the United States of America, with about 30,000 enplanements per day in 2023. At the same time, parking your car at the airport for a week costs about $100. That's a lot of money when you're already paying for flights, hotels, food, and transportation on your trip. And don't forget little trinket souvenirs that you won't look at for 5 years. So why not park at a metro station just 5 minutes down the line in a giant parking lot right next to the station and save a ton of money? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? The proposal is simple. Allow overnight and long-term parking at the parking facilities at Loudoun Gateway Station, also known as Park, Ride, Fly. The cheapest parking at Dulles Airport is about $100 for a week-long trip, which comes out to about $14 a day. That's almost 4 times more expensive than the daily parking fee at a metro station, which is $4.95. Let's say you're taking an 8-day trip, Wednesday to Wednesday. Dulles will bill you about $100 to keep your car in the furthest away economy lot from the terminal. The lot is connected to the terminal by a bus shuttle that runs every 10 to 15 minutes, the same frequency as the metro. But if you park at the metro garage at the standard $4.95 per day, you'd pay $39.60 total to park your car for the entire week. You'd also have to pay $4.50 per person on a round-trip fare from Loudoun Gateway to the airport, but it's clearly much cheaper than the dedicated airport parking. Metro could even up the price a little bit, and it would still be way cheaper than parking at the airport. Technically, long-term parking is already possible at the Greenbelt, Huntington, Franconia Springfield, and Wheelie-Reston stations, but these only have a few spots for long-term vehicle storage. These spots are also limited to 10 days, and many people go on trips longer than 10 days. So while I'm sure these spots are useful for some people, they don't make up for dedicated space for airport parking. One of the issues that could arise is that people might not know how to pay for their metro ride. Yes, one could use their SmartStrip card, but not everybody has one of these, especially people coming from out west who don't use the metro often, who don't come into the city. Metro's new Tap Pay Go system will make it easier for most people to pay because it lets you tap your contactless credit or debit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, any of these types of things. But again, not everybody has a card like this, especially kids. So to solve this problem, Metro could come up with some sort of pass, where if you park in a long-term parking spot, you get a complimentary round-trip ticket from Loudoun Gateway to the airport and back. I don't know what the best method of fixing this problem is, but I trust that the smart people at both WMATA and the airport could probably figure something out if they really wanted to. You might be thinking that the metro is already too busy to have a bunch of people adding to the crowds. And while that's very true downtown, the section between the airport and Loudoun Gateway is not very busy. And even during rush hour, there should still be enough space for everyone. Some people might have to stand, but there should be space for everyone, and it's only a 5-minute ride. It also helps that airports tend to be very busy on Monday, Friday, and weekends, which happen to be the days when the metro is not as busy. So here are some things that I think need to happen to actually get this program up and running. The first thing that would have to happen is that Loudoun Gateway would have to start allowing overnight parking, which is currently not allowed. The thing is, WMATA doesn't operate the parking garage at Loudoun Gateway or Ashburn stations, so they would have to work with the current operator of the parking to allow overnight parking. Number 2, they would need to mark certain parking spots as airport parking only, or something like that, so that the people using the Park Ride Fly service would not annoy the daily commuters, and of course, vice versa. Maybe even a whole level or two of the parking garage is solely devoted to jet setters. Number 3, the service would have to be marketed. Nobody's going to use a service that they've never heard of. Loudoun Gateway's Park Ride Fly service would have to be advertised on the WMATA's website, and probably social media, and maybe even in person at the airport. The best form of marketing for this service would be in the parking section of Dulles Airport's website, but I don't think they would allow that because they like to make money selling people airport parking spots. Number 4, there would need to be contingencies if the metro went down. Now, this is going to be very rare because this section of track is new and it doesn't have a bunch of shenanigans going on, unlike the Red Line. But once in a while, things happen. So what you could do is run 2 or 3 buses between the airport and Loudoun Gateway, and that should provide enough service for the people using this service. Before we go any further, I want to thank this Redditor called My Password is ABC999 for their comment on this post called Making a Better Loudoun Gateway Station. They posted some insane ideas that I'm about to share with you, but I just wanted to thank them because they pretty much inspired this video, at least partially. So thank you very much, My Password ABC999. Let's get insane. Insane idea number 1 would be building an airport hotel right on top of the station. Not practical at all, considering the highway noise and pollution, but definitely a fun suggestion. Number 2, we add check-in desks to this Loudoun Gateway area so that you don't have to lug your big bags onto the metro, off the metro, through the airport to the check-in desk at the airport. You can actually just do it at Loudoun Gateway. This is actually a service that exists on the MTR in Hong Kong. Thank you very much to Classy Whale for pointing that out to me. Number 3, we would add restaurants, lounges, nice places to hang out here at Loudoun Gateway so that you can just hang out here before your flight, or if you're getting picked up, you can hang out before you get picked up. Insane idea number 4, we build a new rental car hub and convince the rental car companies to locate to the Loudoun Gateway area. This would be difficult, but it is an interesting idea, especially if the airport wanted to use the land that the rental cars are currently on for expansion. And last but not least, if Loudoun Gateway gets too popular and there are consistently not enough parking spots, they could even add more. Not for long though, as a lot of the land north of the station is being developed for something. Not exactly sure, but it's probably data centers. It's almost always data centers. But there is a parking lot on one part of the station that could be turned into a parking garage if we really needed more parking spots. All of these files here, these are all used for this one video, and there's even more down here, and there's going to be more later. So just showing you how much stuff goes into just one of these videos. Anyway, this proposal would alleviate the parking lots at the airport and provide an easier connection for the people living northwest of the airport who need to get to the airport. This proposal would bring a lot of extra money into WMATA's pockets, which is sorely needed these days of rising costs and turbulent funding models, except CTA. And most importantly, this proposal will make parking at the airport cheaper. And in these days, we could always use some more money in our wallets. Will any of this ever happen? Probably not. But it is fun to think about what it could look like if different organizations came together to elevate the experience at one of the most important airports in one of the nation's most important metro areas. All of this is also possible at Innovation Center, which is the least used parking garage on Metro's system. It's very low. I have a whole video about it, but all of the concepts in this video could probably also be done to that one. It's also right next to the airport. So, do you think this is possible? Are there any extra ideas that you have that you think could make this experience even better or add something that I didn't mention? Let me know down in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and have a great day. I will see you in the next one. Adios.